We need to take additional action on the energy front. Keystone is a distraction.
Republicans seemingly with the wind at their backs heading into Tuesday in states where a red wave is that much more difficult. States like New York, Massachusetts, Washington State, and Connecticut, where Democrats are not doing so well. Democratic Connecticut Senator Richard Blumenthal now running for re-election against surging outsider Leora Levy, who's been on with us many times. I'd like to welcome back in Republican nominee for the Senate in Connecticut, Leora Levy. Leora, my goodness, this race, the polls have tightened sharply over the last several weeks. Tell us about what's going on in the state of Connecticut and how Connecticut might be different from New York to the west and Massachusetts to the north. Those states, deep blue. Connecticut really is more of a purple state.
Connecticut is a purple state. If you look at our map of how people vote throughout the state, it's primarily red. But, you know, we do have the urban areas, our cities, where there are a lot of Democrat voters. But this year, yo soy latina, yo tengo el corazón latina, y los hispanos están votando para los republicanos. Hispanics are voting for Republicans here because they are upset about the Democrat policies and what they are doing to their lives. Independent voters, the independents and unaffiliated are the largest voting bloc in our state, and I am winning them in every single poll because they also are upset with Democrat policies that are making their lives unaffordable, that are making our communities unsafe, that are educating our children with a woke, politicized education, not a traditional education that will prepare them for their future. And because of the invasion at the border that's bringing fentanyl into our communities, 8 babies have died in Connecticut. Teenagers have died. Young adults. We're losing a generation of our children to fentanyl, and that's because of the open border that my opponent has never once spoken out about.
Leora, I'm a Connecticut resident. It's November the 4th. We've been blessed with a surprisingly warm fall, so I haven't turned on the heat yet, but I'm also fighting that, and we've got little kids who've got heating blankets and all that stuff, because the cost to heat your home in the New England states is going to be outrageous. According to one estimate, up 35% year over year. Again, this is November compared to last November. How are people in Connecticut and the other New England states, and I'll add New York to that, and Pennsylvania, it gets darn cold there as well. How are people going to afford that with gas prices where they are, where inflation is at 8.2%? How's that something that people are going to manage?
Well, that's what I'm very worried about. I hear this no matter where I go around the state. I spoke with a widow in the Hartford area who said she actually had to decide between heating her home, buying home heating oil at over $6 a gallon, or buying food. So these are real life decisions. I was at the Durham Fair, the largest fair in our state, and a man very emotionally came up to me and said, I'm a welder. I have a good job. I've always provided for my family. But this year, I don't even know how I'm going to pay my mortgage. Yeah. Every month, I have to juggle those bills. These are real life decisions that my opponent is completely out of touch with.
Yeah, and 1 million undecideds, independents in the state of Connecticut, a shocking number. Same in Massachusetts, by the way. Those are the people that are going to make the difference next Tuesday. But if you watch some of the other networks and look at the way what's happening in the economy, and you look at the way that's being covered, you wouldn't think anything was wrong. Take a listen to this.
Yeah.
The only people I ever hear use the word inflation are journalists and economists, right? So that is not part of the normal lexicon of the way people talk. So it's interesting that Republicans are doing something they don't normally do, right? Which is not use the common tongue, right? Not use just common English to sort of do on their campaigns like they're doing with crime. But what they've done is they've taught people the word inflation, right? Yeah. Most people who would have never used that word ever in their lives are using it now because they've been taught it.
Leora, do you think Connecticut voters agree with that assessment right there? The only reason that I wasn't using the word inflation over the last few years is because under Donald Trump, it was 1.4%. Today, it's 8.2%. That's why we're talking about inflation.
That's right. Well, if anybody is out of touch and needs to learn the lesson of high prices, which is what inflation is, high prices for everything from food to gasoline to home heating oil, natural gas, which are both in short supply, historically short supply, it is she.
Absolutely.
There are high
Absolutely.
prices for everything. You want to call it inflation or something else.
Yep.
It's life is unaffordable, and it's a direct result of the Biden policies rubber stamped and voted for by my opponent, Dick Blumenthal.
All right, Leora Levy, Dick Blumenthal on Tuesday, Connecticut Senate race. A lot of people have that one circled. Good luck to you, Leora, if I don't see you between now and Tuesday. Thanks for being with us this morning.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, our pleasure, as always. Come back and see us. We do have some breaking news as you wake up on this Friday morning. Right now, the October jobs numbers are out. They just came out literally moments ago. They show the economy added 261,000 jobs last month. Unemployment rising to 3.7%. So this is not a great report for the administration. This is certainly not a great report heading into the midterms on Tuesday. The unemployment rate going up. That's the big takeaway.
No crooked establishment.
None of that twisting the truth. No talking down to me.
Don't tell me how to think.
Don't tell me how to think.
Don't tell me how to think.
I trust Newsmax.
Newsmax.
They don't tell me how to think.
They let
me decide.
Newsmax.
Real news
for real people.